Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott Selections here for Wednesday, February 17th. We're getting today's play of the day. Quick recap of what happened yesterday. We had a very nice day. We ended up going 1-0-1. We ended up giving out Loyola Marymount -3 in the solo play of the day at -110 on DraftKings. That was probably one of those plays where I ended up picking up a push, and a lot of you probably picked up wins because the line ended up dropping from -3 to -1.5 this morning. I know the video got posted a couple hours after I ended up making it. So I'm sure a lot of you got winners with Loyola. I ended up getting a push, is what it is. Kind of lucky, to be honest. But either way, sometimes you need the breaks to go in your favor. And we ended up getting that with Loyola getting a push there where they probably should have lost the game outright. But either way, we ended up winning the joint play of the day as I ended up giving out the Pelicans and the Grizzlies over 231.5 at -115 on BetMGM in the NBA show. And that was a sweat-free winner. Anytime you have one team that scores 140 plus, you're going to cash that over with ease. And I believe we cashed that over with about 5 minutes to go in the game. Really was just a perfect pace. Both teams going up and down. Zion did whatever he wanted. Ended up getting to the paint pretty much freely on every single possession. And that game flew over. So a nice day where we ended up getting a win to push. And we'll look to keep our winning streak alive here on Wednesday. And I'm sure a lot of you have realized that in college basketball and the NBA, I tend to be a fan of laying points when it comes to favorites. I tend to generally think that there's some added value on favorites that are a little bit mispriced opposed to underdogs. But we're going to change it up a little bit for Wednesday's play of the day because there is one matchup I do think there is some value on the underdog. It's going to be on a matchup that's going to be taking place between Northeastern and North Carolina. That will be taking place, I'd say decent early afternoon, nothing too crazy, as that game will be taking place at around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And for this matchup here, we're going to be taking the points here with Northeastern at +16, which is currently available on FanDuel at -110, a time of recording of 1:48 a.m. Eastern time. A couple reasons why I like Northeastern in this spot and why I'm kind of going against my usual trend of taking favorites. First of all, it mostly involves North Carolina, and how this has been a very, very brief schedule change, and I think that will lead to some problems for North Carolina. North Carolina, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, has been an underachieving team so far this season, not to the same degree as Duke or Michigan State, who are god-awful. But either way, North Carolina is currently on the bubble. This team is currently projected to be in the tournament, according to Winardi, but I believe North Carolina is one of the last 4 byes. So it's not one of the last 4 in, but it's the last 8 in, so to speak. So North Carolina could definitely use a signature win to help boost its resume, to help clinch a spot here, which is important because North Carolina kind of got embarrassed over the weekend against Virginia. Now, that takes us to who they were supposed to play in this game. They were supposed to play against Virginia Tech, who's currently ranked 18th in the country. So they were supposed to go from an embarrassing loss to Virginia, only scoring 48 points, to a home game against a ranked opponent in conference play where it could have a serious opportunity to boost its resume to clinch a spot. And then Virginia Tech got COVID. So as a result, North Carolina ended up scheduling this matchup against Northeastern at the last minute. Literally was scheduled on February 15th, so about 2 days ago. And now, instead of facing off against a ranked conference rival, they face off against an unranked Northeastern team that, to be completely honest, is not going to make the tournament unless it wins the conference tournament. That's kind of obvious, 9-7 overall into a conference play. But still, the point that I just have an issue with is that North Carolina, I think it's a very good spot for a letdown here for North Carolina because they were kind of putting all their eggs into the conference rival ranked opponent matchup kind of basket, and now that's just not the case. Now they're supposed to get a layup laying 16 points, and I just simply think it's too many points for a very, very sudden opponent switching that happened over the last couple of days. But looking at some other factors, it is worth mentioning this is the second time this season that North Carolina has scheduled a last-minute replacement for an opponent. Earlier this year, North Carolina was supposed to play against Elon. Is Elon any good? Of course not. No, Elon's terrible. But instead of facing off against Elon, they ended up scheduling NC Central about a day or two before the game. And in that game, North Carolina was favored by 24.5, and it only won by 6. Now, North Carolina Central, of course, is not a good team at all. Northeastern is definitely a better team than them. It was earlier in the year, so I'm not going to put too much stock in it. But it is worth mentioning there has been a precedent set, that North Carolina has had these last-minute scheduling replacements earlier in the year, and it looked awful in the process. Not only did it fail to cover by 18 points, but it also struggled to win the game against NC Central, which is a serious problem there. Now, it is also worth mentioning that North Carolina is laying a little bit more points than it probably should because North Carolina, fun fact, has not won a game by more than 12 points since November 30th. That's the second game of the season. So that means that in the second game of the season, North Carolina ended up beating UNLV by about 30 or so. Since then, North Carolina has played about 17 straight games and has not won by more than 12, let alone by 16. So I cannot lay 16 with a team that hasn't covered a spread of this magnitude since November of 2020. I think that line's way too high. If you want to go through the actual trends for both teams, North Carolina is 3-3 ATS at home. Northeastern is 6-4 ATS on the road. So Northeastern has actually performed pretty well on the highway, where North Carolina has been a little bit underwhelming at home, especially against conference opponents who aren't very good. Struggled a little bit against Wake Forest, struggled against Notre Dame, had some issues against some of the weaker teams in the ACC. It is worth mentioning also that Northeastern has not exactly played a cupcake schedule on the road. This team had scheduled Syracuse on the road, and it also scheduled West Virginia on the road. So this team has actually traveled to some hostile environments. I know Syracuse isn't very good, but still the Carrier Dome is known for being a pretty good home court, and Northeastern covered that spread by about 11 points. Got killed by West Virginia, but West Virginia is definitely a very tough team, definitely better than North Carolina. And I do give props for Northeastern to actually play those tough teams. I think that will definitely help Northeastern adjust to this, I'd say, big game for them against North Carolina, against a high-profile team, because it has challenged itself out of conference earlier this season. But looking at some other statistics for these teams, Northeastern is also the much better three-point shooting team and the much better free-throw shooting team, which I do think is important. Northeastern is shooting roughly 4% better from the three-point line and roughly 8% better from the foul line. Now, that is important because Northeastern ranks 55th in fouls per game. North Carolina ranks 154th in fouls per game. So Northeastern might actually have a decent amount of opportunities to, get some free points at the foul line, shooting roughly 73% as a team. And I do think that if they end up cashing in enough opportunities at the charity stripe, they should be able to cut this game to within, I'd say, 12 points or so. Do I think Northeastern's going to win this game? Hell no. But at the end of the day, I do think North Carolina's laying too many points, and I do think the spread should be closer to around 12 or 13. I think North Carolina's going to come out, and they're going to look a little bit uneasy in the first half against a team that they haven't really had time to scout properly for. I think they'll eventually blow away late, but at the end of the day, I do think that Northeastern will do enough to hang around and to potentially lose this game by around 12 points. The play of the day, once again, here in college basketball for Wednesday, February 17th, is going to be on Northeastern plus 16 at minus 110 on FanDuel. That's been Solomon Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.